What's up, everybody? Mr. Diaz is back with another Read Aloud. Today, we're going to be reading again from Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. We're going to be reading chapters 14 and 15. As always, there is a related assignment to the reading. So there's an assignment based on the reading for you to complete, and it's posted on Google Classroom. You all have your own individual copy of this. So you're going to start the assignment making your prediction. So you now have 13 chapters to work off of. Tons of events that have occurred. You know a bunch of characters' names. You know where this is taking place. It is your job now to make a guess or a prediction about what you think is going to happen next in the story. Remember to include very specific, concrete details from the story in your prediction. And also remember to explain why you made the prediction that you made. So it's not enough just to say that I predict this and this will happen. You need to also say why you predicted it. Okay, so pause the video and go ahead and do that. When you are done, it's time for us to start reading. While I'm reading, remember to ask questions about the reading. It can be either comprehension questions that you're asking other people or questions that you have about the story. And then when we are done, make sure you read over these questions before we start reading. When we are done, you can take a look. Take a look at these questions beforehand, but when we are done, you will answer them. Okay? All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. You should have your page up, okay? While I'm reading, you should be writing questions down and thinking about what's happening, constantly predicting what's gonna happen next, okay? Let's do it. Chapter 14 of Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. What's going to happen next? Let's find out. How about we work together, said Akemi when she sat down at Kyle's table. Kyle couldn't take his eyes off Sierra Russell. She had drifted up about 25 feet and was leaning against the rails of her floating platform, completely lost in a new book. Hello, Earth to Kyle. Do you want somebody else to get first dibs on the Electronic Learning Center? No. Then focus. Okay. How do we use our wits and the library to find dessert? Akemi nodded toward Miguel, whose fingers were dancing across the screen of his desktop's tablet computer. I think he's doing a search in the card catalog, whispered Akemi. Why? It's how you find stuff in a library, Kyle. I know that, but we're not looking for books about dessert. We need to find actual food. Andrew Peckelman stood up from his desk and sprinted up a wrought iron spiral staircase leading to the second floor. 2 seconds later, Charles Chiltington was sprinting up the staircase behind him. All the other players soon followed. Everybody was headed to the second floor and the Dewey Decimal Rooms. Miguel finally popped up from the desk and made a dash for the nearest staircase. It's got to be up in the 600s, you guys, he called out to Kyle and Akemi. Thanks, said Kyle, but he still didn't budge from his seat. I guess the 600s is the Dewey Decimal category where you find books about desserts, said Akemi. Maybe we should... Wait a second, said Kyle. Kyle, in case you haven't noticed, you, me, and glider girl Sierra are the only ones still on this floor. And Sierra isn't really on the floor because she's floating. Hang on, Akemi, I have an idea. Kyle pulled out his floor plan. Dessert is probably hiding in plain sight, just like the bonus codes in the Squirrel Squad. Follow me. Where to? The Book Nook Cafe, the one room in the library where, according to what Dr. Zinchenko told us back at the hotel, food and drinks are actually allowed. They strolled into the cozy cafe. Woo-hoo! Shouted Akemi. The walls were decorated with shelves of cookbooks, but several tables were loaded down with trays of cookies, cakes, ice cream, and fruit. That's why the curtains were closed behind the windows into the rotunda, said Akemi, so we wouldn't see all this food. Way to go, Kyle. Kyle did his best imitation of Charles Chiltington. I'm Akemi. We never lose, except, of course, when we don't win. After everyone had dessert, Kyle and Akemi were the first ones allowed to enter the Electronic Learning Center. Kyle flew the space shuttle, making an excellent landing on Mars before crashing into one of Saturn's moons. Akemi rode a horse with Paul Revere. Then Kyle learned how to drive a stick shift stock car on the Talladega racetrack while Akemi climbed into a tiny submarine to swim with sharks, dolphins, and sea turtles, all of which were projected on the glass walls of her undersea simulator. All the educational video games had 3D visuals, digital surround sound, and something new that Mr. Lemoncello was developing for his video games: smell-o-vision. When you sacked Rome with the Visigoths, you could smell the smoky scent of the burning city as well as the barbarians, B.O. After an hour, Dr. Zinchenko ushered everybody else into the Electronic Learning Center. They'd been watching George Washington debate George W. Bush. Both were audio animatronic dummies. Both were audio animatronic dummies in the town square at the center of the 900s room. At 10 p.m., they all tromped into the IMAX theater, also on the third floor, to see a jukebox concert. 3D images of the world's best musicians, living and dead, performed their hits live. The best part was Mozart jamming with Metallica. Finally, around 3 in the morning, Clarence and his twin brother, Clement, came to escort the kids to their sleeping quarters. The boys would roll out their sleeping bags in the children's room, just off the rotunda. The girls would be upstairs on the third floor in the boardroom. Charles Chiltington would be luxuriating all alone in Mr. Lemoncello's private suite. Exhausted from the excitement of the day and crashing after eating way too much sugar, Kyle slept like a baby. He only woke up because he heard music, loud, blaring music. The theme song from that boxing movie, Rocky, his brother's favorite, his brother Mike's favorite. What was that? He mumbled, crawling out of his sleeping bag. Kyle glanced at his watch. It was 11 a.m. He figured the library lock-in was officially over, and this was the group's wake-up call. The music kept blaring. "This is how they wake up astronauts," groaned Miguel. "Turn it off," moaned Andrew Peckelman. Kyle slipped on his jeans and sneakers and staggered out into the giant reading room. "Dr. Zinchenko?" His voice echoed off the dome. No answer. "Clarence? Clement?" Nothing. The Rocky music got louder. Akemi leaned in from the third floor balcony. "What's going on down there?" "I think they're trying to wake up astronauts," said Kyle. "On the moon." He made his way to the front door and reached for the handle. It wouldn't budge. He jiggled it. Nothing. He jiggled harder. Still nothing. Kyle realized that the library lock-in might be over, but they were still locked in the library. Chapter 15. Again, this is always a good time when we finish reading a chapter. It's always a good time to stop and write some questions down, go back and re-listen if you needed to re-listen, try to answer some of the questions. So it's a really good time to pause the video and attempt to do some of those things. All right, so video should be paused. All right, chapter 15. "Everybody, please take your seats," Dr. Zinchenko said to the parents gathered in the conference room at the Parker House Hotel. "When do our kids come home?" asked one of the mothers. "Rose has soccer at 2, said another. The librarian nodded. Mr. Lemoncello will... Just then, an accordion panel door at the far end of the room flew open, revealing the eccentric billionaire dressed in a bright purple tracksuit and a plumed pirate hat. He was eating a slice of 7-layer birthday cake. "Good morning," or as they're currently saying in Reykjavik, "Gott siadeki," which means good afternoon, because there is a 4-hour time difference between Ohio and Iceland, a fact I first learned spinning a globe in my local library. Mr. Lemoncello, his banana shoes burp squeaking, stepped out of a room filled with dozens of black and white television monitors, the kind security guards watch at their workstations. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this grand and auspicious day. Today I'm pleased to announce the most marvelous, stupendous game ever created, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. The entire library will be the game board. Your children will be the game pieces. The winner will become famous all over the world." "How?" asked one of the fathers. By starring in all of my commercials this holiday season. TV, radio, print, billboards, cardboard cutouts in toy stores. His or her face will be everywhere." Mrs. Daly raised her hand. "Will they get paid?" "Oh, yes. In fact, you'll probably want to call me the Giver. And what exactly does Haley have to do to win? Escape from the library. I thought the game's title more or less gave that bit away. Mr. Lemoncello tapped a button in his pirate hat, and an animated version of the library's floor plan was instantly displayed on the conference room's plasma screen TVs. Whoever is the first to use what they find in the library to find their way out of the library will be crowned the winner. Now then, the children cannot use the front door or the fire exits or set off any alarms. They cannot go out the way they went in. They can use their wits, cunning, and intelligence to decipher clues and solve riddles that will eventually lead them to the location of the library's super secret alternate exit. And ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, such an alternate exit does indeed exist. The parents around the table started buzzing with excitement. Participation, of course, will be purely optional and voluntary, said Mr. Lemoncello, clasping his hands behind his back and stalking around the room. Several parents pulled out cell phones. And please, do not attempt to phone, email, text, fax, or send smoke signals to your children, encouraging them to enter the competition. We have blocked all communication into and out of the library. Only those who truly wish to stay and play shall stay and play. Anyone who chooses to leave the library will go home with lovely parting gifts and a souvenir pirate hat, very similar to mine. They'll also be invited to my birthday party tomorrow afternoon. He held up his crumb-filled plate. I've been sampling potential cake candidates for breakfast. Mrs. Keegan crossed her arms over her chest. Will this game be dangerous? No, said Mr. Lemoncello. Your children will be under constant video surveillance by security personnel in the library's control center. Dr. Zinchenko and I will also be monitoring their progress here in my private video viewing suite. Should anything go wrong, we have paramedics, firefighters, and a team of former Navy SEALs, each with the heart of a samurai, standing by to swoop in and rescue your children. It'll be like the Hunger Games, but with lots of food and no bows or arrows. Why not just have the kids play one of your other games, a parent suggested. Why all this fuss? Because, my dear friends, these 12 children have lived their entire lives without a public library. As a result, they have no idea how extraordinarily useful, helpful, and funful, a word I recently invented, a library can be. This is their chance to discover that a library is more than a collection of dusty old books. It is a place to learn, explore, and grow. Mr. Lemoncello, I think what you're doing is fantastic, said one of the mothers. Thank you, said Mr. Lemoncello, bowing and clicking his heels, which made them buck like a chicken. If any of you would like to check up on your children, announced Dr. Zinchenko, please join us in the adjoining room. Oh, they're a lot of fun to watch, said Mr. Lemoncello. However, Mr. and Mrs. Keeley, I'm afraid your son Kyle does not enjoy the theme song Rocky quite as much as I do. All right, you guys, that's it. Remember to now answer the questions at the end of the story, and in the questions, remember to always restate the question in the answer. And as always, I will be available for questions live, or you can message me directly on Google Classroom. Take care, everybody, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening.